Right now, in this exact moment, you are having a conversation with reality. Not through words, not through prayers, not through the affirmations you whisper in the mirror each morning. You're communicating through something far more primal, far more powerful, and infinitely more honest than language could ever be. Every cell in your body is broadcasting. Every emotion you suppress or express creates ripples in an invisible ocean. Every belief you hold about yourself, conscious or buried deep in your subconscious, is being transmitted into the field of infinite possibility that quantum physicists have been mapping for over a century. And here's what nobody tells you. The universe has been responding to this broadcast your entire life, perfectly, precisely, without fail. But you probably haven't noticed the conversation because you've been taught to look for responses in all the wrong places. You've been waiting for thunderbolts and miracles, checking your bank account for sudden deposits, scanning every interaction for proof that someone out there is listening to your wishes. Meanwhile, reality has been showing you exactly what you're broadcasting through the patterns that keep repeating in your life. The same relationship dynamics wearing different faces, the same financial situations cycling through with minor variations, the same opportunities that appear and vanish just before you can grasp them. These aren't coincidences. They're not evidence of bad luck or proof that the universe is withholding from you. They're perfect reflections, mirrors held up to show you the signal you're actually transmitting beneath all your conscious hoping and wishing. I know this might sound harsh, maybe even unfair. You've been working so hard. You've read the books, watched the videos, practiced the techniques. You've scripted your desires, created vision boards, practiced gratitude. You've done everything they told you to do. And yet here you are, still searching, still trying to crack the code, still wondering what you're missing. What if I told you that you're not missing anything? What if the only thing standing between you and the reality you desire is the noise, the interference between what you consciously want and what you unconsciously believe is possible? What if the quantum talk that actually works has nothing to do with what you say and everything to do with what you become? Stay with me. Because what we're about to explore isn't another manifestation technique you add to your already overwhelming routine. This is about understanding the fundamental mechanism of how consciousness interacts with the quantum field. And once you see it, truly see it, you'll never approach manifestation the same way again. You'll understand why some people seem to effortlessly attract what they want, while others exhaust themselves trying to force reality into compliance. You'll discover why your most desperate prayers often go unanswered, while the things you've released attachment to somehow find their way to you. Most importantly, you'll learn how to align your unconscious broadcast with your conscious desires, so that every part of you is speaking the same language. And when that happens, when coherence replaces conflict, the field responds in ways that will make you question everything you thought you knew about cause and effect. Let's talk about what's actually happening when you set an intention, make a wish, or send a prayer into the universe. Because if you're like most people, you've been approaching this process with a fundamental misunderstanding that undermines everything you're trying to create. You probably think of communication with the universe as a one-way transmission. You send out your desire through visualization, affirmation, or focused thought, and then you wait for the universe to respond by delivering what you asked for. Request and delivery. Cause and effect. But that's not how quantum mechanics works. And it's definitely not how the relationship between consciousness and reality functions. In the quantum model, there is no separation between observer and observed. The act of observation itself influences what manifests. But here's the part that changes everything. Observation isn't just what you consciously focus on with your eyes or your mind. Observation is the totality of your being. Your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, nervous system state, and the electromagnetic field your body generates every single moment. Your heart, yes, your physical heart, creates the strongest electromagnetic field in your body. This field extends several feet beyond your skin and can be measured with scientific instruments. The HeartMath Institute has spent decades documenting this, showing that the pattern of your heart rhythm encodes information about your emotional state. When you feel frustrated, anxious, or desperate, your heart rhythm becomes chaotic and irregular. Scientists call this incoherence. Your heart and brain fall out of sync. Your nervous system activates survival responses, and the electromagnetic field you broadcast becomes fragmented, like a radio signal overwhelmed by static. Now imagine that this fragmented signal is what's actually communicating with the quantum field, regardless of what beautiful affirmations you're repeating in your mind. Your conscious mind says, "I am abundant, money flows to me easily." But your body, your heart rhythm, your nervous system, your electromagnetic field is broadcasting, "I'm afraid, I don't have enough. What if this doesn't work? I need this to change right now." Which signal do you think the field responds to? The quantum field doesn't have ears. It doesn't listen to your words. It responds to frequency, and frequency is generated not by what you think, but by what you feel, what you believe at the deepest level, and how your entire system is organized in each moment. This is why people can do everything right and still experience the same reality. They're focusing on changing the conscious signal while the unconscious broadcast, infinitely more powerful, continues transmitting the same old pattern. Think of it like this. Imagine you're at a restaurant, but there's a language barrier. You say the words for what you want on the menu, but your tone, your body language, your facial expression, everything about your non-verbal communication is saying something completely different. The server responds to the totality of your communication, not just your words. The quantum field works the same way. It reads the totality of your signal. And most of that signal is coming from places you're not even aware of. Your subconscious beliefs about worthiness, your nervous system's learned responses from childhood, your body's stored memories of past disappointments, the emotional patterns you've been running on autopilot for decades. All of this creates what physicists might call your dominant frequency, the signal you broadcast most consistently when you're not consciously trying to manifest anything. And here's the crucial insight. The field is always responding to that dominant frequency, not to the occasional elevated states you access during meditation or visualization. This is why the quantum talk that actually works isn't about learning better words or more powerful techniques. It's about transforming your dominant frequency at the level of your nervous system, your emotional patterns, and your embodied beliefs. Let me give you a concrete example of how this plays out. Sarah came to me after years of frustration with manifestation. She'd done all the practices, journaled every morning, visualized her ideal life in vivid detail, recited affirmations until she could say them in her sleep, and nothing was changing. When we looked deeper, we discovered something fascinating. Every time Sarah visualized her desired reality, financial abundance, a loving relationship, creative fulfillment, her body would tense, her breathing would become shallow. Her heart rate would increase. Consciously, she was focusing on what she wanted, but unconsciously, her nervous system was interpreting the visualization as a threat, because it highlighted the gap between where she was and where she wanted to be. It reminded her of all the times she'd hoped for something and been disappointed. So while her mind was saying yes to abundance, her body was saying danger to the vulnerability of wanting something she might not receive. The field was responding to her body's signal, the incoherence, the contraction, the fear, not to her mental images of success. Once Sarah learned to shift her nervous system into a coherent state before and during visualization, everything changed. Not overnight, not dramatically, but steadily, undeniably. She stopped trying to force the field to respond and started learning the language it actually speaks, the language of frequency, resonance, and embodied states. The opportunities started appearing. The synchronicities multiplied. The right people showed up at the right time. Not because she finally figured out the magic formula, but because she stopped creating interference. She became coherent, and coherence is the quantum talk that works. In the next chapter, we're going to explore exactly what coherence means, how to recognize when you're in it or out of it, and why this one shift is more powerful than 1,000 techniques. If I could give you only one word to transform your relationship with manifestation, it would be this: coherence. Not because it's a magic word, not because saying it out loud will change anything, but because understanding what coherence actually means, and more importantly, how to embody it, will dissolve most of the struggle you've been experiencing. Let me paint you a picture of what incoherence looks like, because I'm willing to bet you're intimately familiar with this state, even if you've never named it. You wake up with good intentions. Today is the day you're going to maintain your high vibration. You do your morning meditation, you write your gratitude list, you set your intentions for the day with clarity and conviction. And then life happens. Someone cuts you off in traffic and irritation flares. You check your email and there's a message that triggers anxiety. You think about your financial situation and a wave of worry washes through you. You scroll social media and suddenly you're comparing yourself to everyone else's highlight reel. By noon, you're exhausted. Not from physical exertion, but from the constant internal battle of trying to maintain positive thoughts while your body and emotions are reacting to everything around you. You catch yourself in a negative thought and immediately try to correct it. You feel fear rising and push it down with affirmations. You notice yourself worrying and mentally scold yourself for lowering your vibration. This is incoherence, not because you're experiencing negative emotions, that's completely human and normal, but because you're at war with yourself. Part of you is trying to control the experience while another part is just trying to feel what it feels. Your conscious mind wants one thing. Your nervous system is doing another. Your emotions are pulling in a third direction. And all of this creates a scrambled signal that the quantum field can't clearly reflect back to you. Now let me show you what coherence looks like. Coherence isn't about maintaining constant positivity or never feeling challenging emotions. Coherence is alignment. It's when your thoughts, feelings, and nervous system are all pointing in the same direction, even if that direction is simply I'm present with what is. Imagine you're going through a difficult time. Maybe you're facing a challenge at work, or you're in the middle of a painful transition. In incoherence, you would resist the difficulty, pretend it's not happening, or collapse into despair about it. In coherence, you might acknowledge, this is hard, I feel uncertain, and I'm okay. I trust that I can handle whatever unfolds. Notice the difference. There's no war, no forcing, no pretending to feel something you don't, just honest presence with what is, combined with an underlying trust that doesn't require external proof. This state of coherence creates a very specific physiological signature. Your heart rhythm becomes ordered and smooth. What scientists call a coherent heart rhythm pattern. Your brain waves synchronize with your heart. Your nervous system shifts out of fight or flight and into a state where growth, healing, and creativity become accessible. And most importantly for our purposes, your electromagnetic field, that invisible broadcast you're transmitting every moment, becomes clear and strong. Think of it like cleaning a window. When the window is smudged and dirty, light gets scattered in all directions. But when it's clean, light passes through clearly and directly. Coherence is cleaning the window of your signal so the field can clearly read and respond to your intention. But here's what trips most people up. They try to force coherence the same way they try to force positive thinking. They tense up, trying to relax. They strain to feel grateful. They perform peace while anxiety churns beneath the surface. This doesn't work because forced coherence is just another form of incoherence. It's the part of you that's afraid trying to control the part of you that feels. Real coherence emerges when you stop trying so hard, when you drop the performance, when you become willing to be exactly where you are, feel exactly what you're feeling, and trust that this honesty is more powerful than any pretense. Let me walk you through what this looks like practically. Let's say you're working on manifesting financial abundance, but every time you check your bank account, anxiety spikes. The old approach would be to immediately counter that anxiety with affirmations. I am abundant. Money flows to me easily. I trust the universe. But your body knows you're lying. It feels the contraction, the fear, the desperation beneath the words. So the signal you're broadcasting is, I'm afraid and trying to hide it. The coherent approach looks different. You notice the anxiety when you check your account. You don't judge it or try to fix it immediately. You simply acknowledge, there's fear here. That makes sense given my past experiences with money. You take a few deep breaths, not to make the fear go away, but to create space for it to exist without consuming you. And then you gently redirect your focus, not to denying your current reality, but to connecting with something genuinely true. I've handled financial challenges before. I have skills and resources. I'm learning and growing. I trust my ability to navigate this. Notice the difference? You're not pretending everything is fine. You're not forcing yourself to feel abundant when you feel scared. You're simply bringing yourself back to a coherent state where you can be present with what is while staying connected to your deeper trust. This is the quantum talk that works, not affirmations repeated like magic spells, not forced visualization of outcomes, but embodied coherence, the state where your entire being is aligned, honest, and present. When you operate from this place consistently, reality begins to shift, not because you're controlling it, but because you've stopped interfering with it. The field has always been responding to you, but now, for the first time, it's responding to a clear signal instead of scattered static. Here's something that might sting a little, but it's crucial you understand it. The reason your desires haven't manifested isn't because the universe is withholding from you. It's because you're unconsciously broadcasting resistance to the very things you say you want. I know that sounds harsh, maybe even unfair. You might be thinking, but I do want this. I want it desperately, and that's exactly the problem. The desperation itself is a form of resistance. Let me explain what I mean by resistance in the quantum context, because it's subtler than you might think. Resistance isn't just conscious opposition. It's not just you saying, I don't want that. Resistance is any energy in your system that contradicts your stated intention, and most of it is completely unconscious. You say you want abundance, but deep in your subconscious, you believe that having money will make you a target for criticism or judgment. Resistance. You say you want a relationship, but part of you associates intimacy with the pain of past betrayals. Your nervous system is wired to create distance as soon as someone gets close. Resistance. You say you want success, but unconsciously you believe that if you become too successful, you'll lose connection with the people you love who might feel threatened by your growth. Resistance. None of these beliefs are necessarily conscious. You might not even be aware you hold them, but your nervous system knows, your body knows, and the electromagnetic field you broadcast knows. This is why so many people experience what I call the approach avoidance dance. They get close to what they want, and then something happens to push it away. They sabotage themselves right at the threshold of breakthrough. They create circumstances that justify why it didn't work out. It's not bad luck. It's not the universe playing tricks. It's your unconscious resistance creating interference with your conscious desire. Think of it like trying to drive a car with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. You might move forward a little, but mostly you're just creating friction, burning energy, and going nowhere fast. The quantum field responds to the totality of your signal, the gas and the brake. And when they're working against each other, what manifests is usually more of the same stuck pattern you've been experiencing. So how do you identify and release this hidden resistance? First, you have to be willing to look honestly at the part of you that doesn't actually want what you say you want. And yes, that part exists. It might be small, it might be buried, but it's there. Here's a powerful question to ask yourself. What would I have to give up or risk if I actually received what I'm asking for? Sit with that question. Don't rush to answer it intellectually. Let your body respond. What arises? Maybe you'd have to give up the familiar identity of being someone who struggles. Maybe you'd have to risk being visible in a way that feels vulnerable. Maybe you'd have to leave behind relationships that are built on your shared limitations. These aren't logical fears. They're nervous system fears, and they create very real resistance in your field. I worked with a client named Michael who desperately wanted to build a successful business. He'd been trying for years. Every time he got momentum, something would derail it. A key partnership would fall through, a client would back out, an unexpected expense would wipe out his progress. When we explored his unconscious resistance, we discovered something surprising. Michael's father had been a successful businessman who worked constantly and was rarely home. As a child, Michael had associated success with absence, with being too busy for the people you love. So even though Michael consciously wanted business success, his nervous system was terrified of becoming like his father. Every time his business started to grow, that unconscious fear would activate, and he'd unknowingly sabotage his own progress to stay safe from becoming the absent, work-obsessed person he feared. Once Michael became aware of this pattern, once he could feel the resistance in his body and understand its origin, he could address it, not by forcing it away, but by consciously choosing a different story. He could decide that his success would look different from his father's. He could build a business that supported his presence with loved ones rather than stealing it. The resistance dissolved because it was no longer unconscious, and his business started growing in a sustainable way for the first time. This is the power of making the unconscious conscious. When you can see your resistance, When you can feel where your system is saying no beneath your conscious yes, you gain the power to choose differently. But here's what's important. You can't release resistance by fighting it. You can't shame yourself into alignment. The moment you make your resistance wrong, you create more resistance. Now you're resisting your resistance. Instead, you meet it with compassion. You understand that every resistance pattern was created to protect you at some point. Your nervous system learned that being invisible kept you safe, or that having money invited judgment, or that intimacy led to pain. These learnings were adaptive once. They helped you survive. But now they're outdated survival strategies masquerading as protection. When you approach your resistance with curiosity rather than judgment, when you can say, "Thank you for trying to keep me safe, but I'm okay now, I can handle what's coming," that's when the resistance begins to soften. And as it softens, as your internal conflict resolves, your signal becomes coherent. All parts of you start pointing in the same direction, and the field finally has a clear instruction to respond to. Now we arrive at the practical heart of everything we've explored. Because understanding the science and recognizing your resistance is valuable, but transformation only happens through embodied practice. The quantum talk that actually works isn't something you do once and forget about. It's a way of being that you cultivate moment by moment, day by day, until it becomes your natural state. So let me walk you through a practice that will help you shift from incoherence to coherence, from resistance to resonance, from forcing to flowing. This isn't complicated. In fact, simplicity is the point. The quantum field doesn't require elaborate rituals or perfect execution. It requires clarity, authenticity, and consistency. Step 1. Create space. Before you can communicate clearly with the field, you need to create space from the noise of your daily mind. Find a quiet place where you won't be interrupted for 10 to 15 minutes. Sit comfortably. You don't need a perfect meditation posture, just something sustainable where your body can relax. Close your eyes or soften your gaze. Take 3 deep, slow breaths. Not forcing, not controlling, just inviting your breath to deepen naturally. With each exhale, imagine you're releasing the urgency, the trying, the need to get this right. You're not here to perform, you're here to be present. Step 2. Drop into your body. Most of us live in our heads, disconnected from the wisdom of our bodies. But your body is where your true signal originates. It's where your emotions live, where your nervous system operates, where your electromagnetic field is generated. So bring your attention down from your head into your body. Scan through slowly. Notice where you're holding tension. Your jaw, your shoulders, your belly. Don't try to fix it, just notice. Place your awareness on each tense area and breathe into it. Imagine your breath carrying a message. It's safe to release. You might feel resistance to this. Your body might want to hold on to the tension because it feels protective. That's okay. Just keep breathing. Keep offering the invitation to soften. Step 3. Heart coherence. Now bring your attention to your heart center, the area in the middle of your chest. Place a hand there if it helps you focus. Imagine that you're breathing in and out through your heart, not literally, but energetically. With each inhale, imagine drawing in calm, supportive energy. With each exhale, imagine that energy radiating out from your heart, creating a field of peace around you. Continue this for a minute or two until you feel a subtle shift. Your breathing might naturally slow. Your body might soften. You might feel a gentle warmth in your chest. This is the beginning of coherence, your heart and brain starting to synchronize. Step 4. Activate authentic appreciation. Here's where most people go wrong. They try to force gratitude or manufacture appreciation for things they don't actually feel grateful for. This creates more incoherence. Instead, find something small and genuine that you can authentically appreciate right now. It doesn't have to be profound. Maybe it's the fact that you're breathing. Maybe it's the sensation of sitting down after a long day. Maybe it's one person in your life who loves you. Feel that appreciation in your body. Let it be real, even if it's subtle. A small amount of authentic feeling is infinitely more powerful than a large amount of pretend emotion. Hold this feeling while continuing to breathe through your heart. Let the appreciation expand naturally. Don't force it bigger. Just let it be what it is. Step 5. Connect with your desire without desperation. Now, while maintaining this state of heart coherence and appreciation, gently bring to mind something you'd like to experience in your life. Don't force yourself to visualize it in perfect detail. Just hold the essence of it in your awareness. And here's the crucial part. Notice how your body responds when you think about this desire. Does your chest tighten? Does your breathing become shallow? Do you feel tension, urgency, or fear? If so, that's resistance. That's the incoherence we talked about. And this is your opportunity to meet it with compassion. Take a breath. Acknowledge. There's fear here. There's doubt here. That's okay. You don't have to fix it right now. Just notice it without judgment. Then gently ask yourself, what would it feel like if this desire was already fulfilled? Not what would it look like, not what would you have or do, what would it feel like? Let your body answer. Maybe you'd feel relief, maybe peace, maybe excitement, maybe simple contentment. Whatever arises, let yourself feel it now, even if it's just a flicker, even if your logical mind says, but it hasn't happened yet. You're not pretending it's happened. You're practicing the frequency of it being done. You're teaching your nervous system what this state feels like, so it can begin to recognize it as safe, as familiar, as home. Step 6. Release the outcome. This is the step that separates those who successfully work with the quantum field from those who stay stuck in force and frustration. After you've felt the feeling of your desire fulfilled, you release it. Not with disappointment, not with doubt, but with trust. Imagine holding a bird in your cupped hands. If you squeeze tight, trying to make sure it doesn't fly away, you'll crush it. But if you open your hands and trust, if the bird is meant to stay, it will. And if it's meant to fly, something better will land in your open palms. This is the energy of release. You've sent your signal. You've broadcast your frequency. Now you trust the field to respond in whatever way serves your highest evolution. Say to yourself, internally or out loud, this or something better, in perfect timing. I trust the intelligence of the field. And mean it, not as a strategy, not as a way to manipulate the universe into giving you what you want, but as a genuine release of control. Step 7. Return throughout your day. This practice isn't just something you do once in the morning and forget about. It's a state you return to again and again throughout your day. Set reminders on your phone. 3 to 5 times a day. Pause for 60 seconds. Check in with your body. Are you in coherence or incoherence? Are you in flow or force? If you notice tension, urgency, or desperation creeping in, take 3 conscious breaths. Place a hand on your heart. Reconnect with appreciation. Remember the feeling of your desire already fulfilled. You're not trying to maintain perfect coherence every moment. That's impossible and unnecessary. You're simply building the capacity to notice when you've drifted into incoherence and gently return to center. Over time, this becomes automatic. Coherence becomes your baseline rather than the exception. And when coherence is your baseline, the quantum field has a clear, consistent signal to work with. The manifestations start appearing, not because you forced them, but because you finally stopped interfering with their natural emergence. One of the most common questions I get is, how do I know if this is actually working? People want proof. They want validation. They want to know they're not wasting their time on some woo-woo practice that has no real effect. And I understand that desire. We've been conditioned to measure success by external results, by tangible outcomes we can point to and say, see, it worked. But here's what you need to understand. The first signs that your quantum talk is working are internal, not external. They're subtle shifts in how you experience life, not dramatic changes in your circumstances. If you're only looking for external validation, you'll miss the evidence that transformation is already underway. And worse, the constant checking for results creates incoherence. It signals to the field that you don't trust the process, which interferes with the very thing you're trying to create. So let me walk you through what to actually watch for. These are the genuine indicators that your frequency is shifting, that your signal is becoming coherent, that the field is beginning to respond. Sign 1. You feel less anxious about outcomes. When you first start practicing coherence, you might still feel attached to specific outcomes. You want things to happen in a particular way, on a particular timeline. And when they don't, you spiral into doubt and frustration. But as your practice deepens, something shifts. You notice that you care less about controlling exactly how things unfold. You're still clear about what you desire, but you're not white-knuckling the process. You catch yourself thinking this or something better and actually meaning it. You find yourself genuinely open to possibilities you hadn't considered. You feel less need to micromanage every detail. This isn't apathy or giving up, it's trust. And trust is a very specific frequency that the field responds to powerfully. Sign 2, synchronicities, increase. When your signal becomes coherent, you start noticing that life feels less random. Meaningful coincidences multiply. You think of someone and they reach out. You need information and it appears in an unexpected conversation. You feel drawn to take a particular route and encounter exactly the opportunity you've been seeking. These synchronicities aren't magic. They're evidence that your field is interacting more fluidly with the larger quantum field. You're tuned in, receptive, and aligned. At first, you might dismiss them as coincidence, but as they accumulate, as they become more specific and more frequent, you start to realize, this is the field responding to my signal. Sign 3, your decision-making becomes clearer. When you're in incoherence, every decision feels heavy. You second-guess yourself constantly. You make pro and con lists that never quite resolve. You ask everyone's opinion and still feel uncertain. But as you stabilize in coherence, decisions become simpler. Not because you suddenly have all the information, but because you have access to a different kind of knowing. You ask yourself, what choice would create the most coherence in my system? And your body answers. Sometimes the answer surprises your logical mind, but you trust it because it feels right at a deeper level. And when you follow these coherent choices, they tend to work out, not because coherence guarantees outcomes, but because you're choosing from alignment rather than fear. Sign 4, your relationships shift. One of the most dramatic signs that your frequency is changing is that your relationships begin to reorganize themselves. Some people naturally drift away, not through conflict or drama, but through organic distancing. Conversations that used to engage you feel hollow. Time spent with certain people leaves you feeling drained rather than energized. This isn't about judging those people or deeming them unworthy. It's simply that your frequencies no longer match. When you were operating from incoherence, those relationships made sense. But as you stabilize in coherence, maintaining them would require lowering your frequency to match theirs. At the same time, new people appear, connections that feel surprisingly deep and easy, relationships that support your growth rather than reinforcing old patterns. Your existing relationships may also transform. Partners, family members, and friends who are committed to their own growth often respond to your new frequency by shifting their own. Old patterns that used to trigger you stop appearing because you're no longer feeding them with your reactions. Sign 5, physical changes in your body. Living in coherence has measurable effects on your physiology. Many people report sleeping more deeply, waking more refreshed, having steadier energy throughout the day. Chronic tension patterns begin to release. Shoulders that have been tight for years suddenly relax. Jaw tension softens. Digestion improves. You might get sick less often, and when you do, you recover more quickly. This makes perfect sense from a scientific perspective. When your nervous system isn't locked in survival mode, your body can direct resources toward healing and optimal functioning instead of constantly preparing for threats. You might also notice that your breathing naturally becomes deeper and fuller throughout the day, even when you're not consciously practicing. Sign 6, you stop needing to check. Remember how we talked about the trap of constantly checking to see if manifestation is working? Looking for proof, scanning for evidence, monitoring every fluctuation in your circumstances? As your coherence stabilizes, that compulsion fades, not because you've given up hope, but because you're no longer dependent on external validation to feel okay. You know in your body that you're aligned. You feel the coherence, you trust the process, and that internal knowing becomes more compelling than any external circumstance. This doesn't mean you stop having desires or goals. It means you're at peace before they manifest. You're complete now, not waiting to be complete when X, Y, or Z happens. And paradoxically, this is often when the manifestations start appearing, because you've finally stopped creating interference through desperate checking. Sign 7. Life feels like it's flowing. Perhaps the most profound sign that your quantum talk is working is a shift in how you experience the texture of daily life. Things that used to feel like pushing uphill start feeling like flowing downstream. Not because challenges disappear, but because you navigate them with more ease and grace. You find yourself in the right place at the right time more often. Resources appear when you need them. Solutions emerge that you couldn't have orchestrated through force. You feel less like you're battling reality and more like you're dancing with it. There's a sense of partnership, of being held and supported by something larger than your individual will. This is the ultimate indicator. Not any single manifestation, but a fundamental shift in your relationship with life itself. Let's address the elephant in the room, the question that's probably been nagging at you since the beginning of this video. This all sounds great, but when will I actually see results? You want to know. How long before my financial situation changes? How many days of practice before that relationship appears? What's the timeline for this quantum talk to actually produce tangible outcomes? And I'm going to give you an answer you probably don't want to hear, but desperately need to understand. The moment you ask that question, you've created incoherence. Because that question comes from a place of lack, urgency, and mistrust. It's your nervous system saying, I don't believe this is working, so I need to know exactly when it will work, so I can decide if it's worth continuing. The field hears that doubt louder than any affirmation you could speak. But let me be clear. I'm not saying you should never care about timing or outcomes. I'm saying the energy with which you relate to timing matters more than you realize. There's a profound difference between, when is this going to work? I need it to happen soon or I'm giving up. And, I'm curious about how this will unfold. I trust that the timing that serves my highest good might be different from the timing my ego prefers. Can you feel the frequency difference between those two statements? The first creates contraction, urgency, and threat in your nervous system. The second creates openness, curiosity, and safety. Here's what most people don't understand about quantum timing. The field doesn't operate on your calendar. It operates according to the principle of readiness, yours and everyone else's involved in what you're creating. Think about planting a seed. You can't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You can't demand that it become a tree by next Tuesday because that's when you need shade. The seed has its own intelligence, its own timeline for germination, rooting, and growing. Your desires work the same way. There's an intelligence in the unfolding that's far more sophisticated than your conscious mind can comprehend. The field is organizing circumstances, aligning people, orchestrating synchronicities, creating opportunities, all in response to your signal. But this organization takes time in the physical dimension, even though in the quantum realm all possibilities exist simultaneously. I know this can be frustrating, especially when you're struggling financially and need money now, or when you're lonely and want companionship immediately, or when you're in pain and just want relief. Your urgency is valid. Your desire for things to change quickly is completely understandable. But the urgency itself creates incoherence, which actually delays the manifestation you're desperate for. So what do you do with this reality? You develop what I call quantum patience, which is different from passive waiting. Passive waiting is, I'll just sit here and hope something changes. Eventually. Quantum patience is, I'm actively maintaining my coherent frequency while trusting that the field is organizing circumstances in perfect timing. You're not waiting for life to happen to you. You're actively being the frequency while allowing reality to respond in its own rhythm. Let me give you a framework that might help you navigate this. The 3 phases of quantum manifestation. Phase 1, internal shift, immediate to days. This phase happens quickly, sometimes instantly. It's when you genuinely drop into coherence for the first time. When you feel that shift from force to flow, from desperation to trust. You might experience this as a physical release, tension leaving your body, or an emotional shift, suddenly feeling peaceful about something that was creating anxiety, or a mental clarity, seeing a situation from a completely new perspective. This is the most important phase because it's where the actual work happens. You've changed your signal. You've broadcast a new frequency. The quantum shift has occurred. Most people dismiss this phase because nothing external has changed yet. But from the field's perspective, everything has changed. You've collapsed into a new probability. Now, time is simply required for that probability to manifest in your physical experience. Phase 2, subtle reorganization, days to weeks. In this phase, things start moving behind the scenes. Synchronicities appear. Unexpected conversations happen. You have insights or ideas you wouldn't have had before. You feel drawn to take actions that turn out to be perfectly timed. To the outside observer, not much has changed. Your bank account might look the same. Your relationship status hasn't shifted. Your job is still the job. But if you're paying attention, you can feel the energy shifting. Doors are opening that were closed before. People are showing up who weren't in your sphere before. Information is coming to you that moves you forward. This is the phase where most people panic and collapse back into doubt. It's been 2 weeks and nothing has really changed, they think. And in that panic, they abandon their coherent frequency and return to force, which resets the entire process. But if you can maintain coherence through this phase, if you can trust the subtle reorganization even when dramatic results haven't appeared yet, you create momentum that carries you into the next phase. Phase 3, physical manifestation, weeks to months. This is when the external circumstances finally align with your internal shift. The job offer comes through. The money shows up, the relationship begins, the opportunity manifests. But here's what's important to understand. This phase is simply the natural outcome of phases 1 and 2. It's not a separate event that you have to make happen. It's the inevitable result of maintaining coherent frequency long enough for reality to reorganize around it. The timeline for this phase varies wildly depending on what you're creating. Small manifestations might appear within days. Larger, more complex ones involving multiple people and circumstances might take months. But, and this is crucial, the timeline is not determined by the universe withholding from you. It's determined by how consistently you maintain coherence, how much unconscious resistance you're working through, how many elements need to align for the manifestation to occur. Whether you're ready, at a nervous system level, to receive what you're asking for. That last point is often the bottleneck. You might consciously want something, but if your nervous system isn't wired to handle it, if receiving it would trigger old trauma, overwhelm your capacity, or violate your core beliefs about what's possible, the field will delay the manifestation until you're actually ready. This isn't punishment, it's protection, and it's actually evidence of the field's intelligence. The timing trap and how to avoid it. The biggest mistake people make with timing is using it as evidence against themselves. It's been 3 months and I still don't have what I want. This proves it doesn't work. This proves I'm doing it wrong. This proves I'm not worthy. Every one of those thoughts creates incoherence, which interferes with your signal, which delays the manifestation, which reinforces your belief that it's not working. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Instead, here's a different relationship with timing. I've been practicing coherence for 3 months. In that time, I've noticed I'm calmer, sleeping better, having clearer insights, and experiencing more synchronicities. These are signs my frequency is shifting. The external manifestation will come when all the elements are aligned. My job is to maintain coherence, not to judge the timeline. Can you feel how that creates a completely different energy? You're acknowledging your progress instead of dismissing it. You're trusting the process instead of doubting it. You're maintaining coherence instead of creating interference. And paradoxically, that's often when the manifestation finally appears, when you stop obsessing about when it will happen and start living as though you're already the person who has it. A practice for quantum patience. When you catch yourself obsessing about timing, try this. Place a hand on your heart, take 3 deep breaths, and say to yourself, the field is always responding. Always. My job is not to control the timing. My job is to maintain the frequency. I trust that what I'm calling in will manifest in whatever timing serves my highest evolution. And I'm at peace now, before it arrives. Say it until you feel something shift, until the urgency softens, until you can genuinely release the outcome without giving up on the desire. This is quantum patience. This is the energy that allows the field to work its magic without interference. Let's talk about the dark night of the soul moment that almost everyone experiences on this path. The moment when you've been practicing coherence, you've been releasing resistance, you've been maintaining your frequency, and nothing is changing. In fact, sometimes it seems like things are getting worse. You're more aware of your patterns, which makes them feel more painful. You're noticing the gap between your desired reality and your current one, which creates frustration. You're seeing synchronicities that seem to lead nowhere, which feels like the universe is taunting you. And the question screams in your mind, what am I doing wrong? First, Let me tell you what you're not doing wrong. You're not doing anything wrong. This experience, this apparent stagnation or regression, is not evidence of failure. It's evidence that transformation is happening at a level deeper than your conscious mind can perceive. Let me explain what's actually occurring during these periods. The clearing process. When you begin shifting your frequency, you're essentially upgrading your energetic operating system. And like any upgrade, it requires clearing out old programs that are no longer compatible with the new version. This means old emotions surface to be processed and released. Old beliefs come up to be examined and dissolved. Old patterns intensify one last time before they finally break. Your nervous system is learning to feel safe in states it previously interpreted as dangerous, states like calm, abundance, worthiness, or love. And that learning process isn't always smooth. You might find yourself more reactive than usual, more emotional, more triggered by things that didn't bother you before. This isn't regression, it's purging. Your system is releasing stored energies that don't match your new frequency. The problem is, most people interpret this clearing as evidence that the work isn't working. They think, I should feel better by now. I should be calmer, more peaceful, more aligned. Instead, I'm a mess. So they abandon the practice right before the breakthrough. But if you can understand that this discomfort is part of the process, that you're not falling apart, you're falling together, you can move through it with more grace. The lag time confusion. Remember what we discussed about timing? There's always a lag between your internal shift and external reflection. Always. But during that lag time, your logical mind goes into overdrive trying to figure out what's wrong. I've been coherent for weeks. Where are the results? Maybe I'm not doing it right. Maybe I need a different technique. Maybe this whole thing is nonsense. Each of these thoughts creates incoherence, which interrupts your signal, which extends the lag time, which reinforces your doubt. It's a vicious cycle. The way out isn't to force yourself to believe harder or pretend you're not doubting. It's to notice the doubt with compassion and choose to return to coherence anyway. There's doubt here. That's okay. I'm going to practice coherence anyway, not because I'm certain it will work, but because being coherent feels better than being in chaos. This honest approach actually strengthens your signal more than forced faith ever could. The testing period. Here's something that might sound strange, but I've seen it play out hundreds of times. The field often tests your commitment to your new frequency right before a major manifestation. It's almost like reality says, okay, you say you've changed. You say you trust. Let's see if that's real or if you'll collapse back into your old patterns the moment things get challenging. So things might get challenging. An unexpected expense arrives right when you're working on financial abundance. A potential relationship interest pulls away right when you're calling in love. An opportunity seems to appear and then vanishes right when you're manifesting career success. These aren't signs you're on the wrong path. They're invitations to prove to yourself, not to the universe, but to yourself, that your coherence is real and stable. Can you maintain your frequency when external circumstances don't support it? Can you trust even when there's no evidence? Can you stay in coherence when every part of you wants to collapse into panic? If you can, you pass the test, and almost always, that's when the breakthrough comes. The comparison trap. Another reason things might seem not to be working is that you're measuring yourself against someone else's timeline or process. You see someone on social media talk about manifesting something in 3 days and you think, why is it taking me 3 months? But you don't know their full story. You don't know how much inner work they did before those 3 days. You don't know what their nervous system capacity is, what their unconscious beliefs are, what their specific life circumstances are. Their journey is not your journey. Their timeline is not your timeline. The specific lessons they need to learn are different from yours. Comparison pulls you completely out of your own frequency and into a state of lack. It's one of the fastest ways to create incoherence. When you catch yourself comparing, come back to your own path. Place a hand on your heart, take a breath, and say, my journey is unique. My timing is perfect for me. I trust my process. What to do when you feel stuck? If you're in this place right now, if you've been practicing and nothing seems to be moving, here's what I want you to do. First, acknowledge where you actually are. Not where you think you should be, not where others are, where you are. I'm frustrated. I'm doubting. I'm impatient. I want to see results and I don't yet. That's the truth of this moment. Second, look for the evidence that something is shifting, even if it's subtle. Are you sleeping differently, breathing differently, responding to triggers differently, having different thoughts or insights? Write these down, because when you're in doubt, your brain filters for evidence that supports the doubt. You have to consciously look for evidence of progress, or you won't see it. Third, return to the basics. Don't try to do more or find a better technique. Just practice the fundamentals. Breathe deeply. Create heart coherence. Feel authentic appreciation. Connect with your desire without desperation. Release the outcome. Do this daily. Not to make something happen, but to maintain your frequency, regardless of what's happening. Fourth, trust that the stagnation is temporary. Every manifestation journey has valleys as well as peaks. The valley doesn't mean you're lost. It means you're gathering strength for the next climb. And finally, consider that maybe nothing is stuck at all. Maybe everything is actually moving perfectly, and you just can't see it yet because you're looking at the wrong indicators. The field is always responding, always. Your job is to maintain coherence and trust the intelligence of the unfolding. Once you've been practicing coherence for a while, once you've experienced the shift from force to flow, there's a next level available to you, a way of being that goes beyond specific practices or techniques. This is what I call living as the frequency, embodying your desired reality so completely that it's no longer something you're trying to create. It's simply who you are. Let me explain what this means practically. In the beginning stages of quantum work, there's a clear distinction between practice time and regular life. You sit down, do your coherence practice, feel the shift, and then go about your day. The practice is something you do, not something you are. But as you deepen, that distinction begins to dissolve. The frequency you access during practice starts bleeding into the rest of your life. You notice yourself naturally breathing deeper throughout the day, automatically checking in with your heart, spontaneously feeling appreciation for small things. Eventually, maintaining coherence becomes as natural as breathing. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to force it. It's just your baseline state. This is when manifestation becomes truly effortless. Not because you've mastered some technique, but because you've become the frequency that naturally attracts what matches it. The identity shift, the key to living as the frequency, is understanding that manifestation isn't about getting something you don't have. It's about becoming someone who already has it. Most people approach it backward. They think, once I have the money, I'll feel abundant. Once I have the relationship, I'll feel loved. Once I have the success, I'll feel worthy. But the quantum field doesn't work that way. It responds to who you're being now, not who you'll be when you get what you want. So the practice becomes, how do I be the person who already has what I desire? Not pretending, not visualizing, not faking it. Actually shifting your identity at the level of your nervous system and electromagnetic field. Let's say you want financial abundance. The question isn't, how do I get more money? The question is, who is the version of me that already lives in abundance? And then you start noticing, how does that person feel about money? How do they make decisions? How do they spend? How do they breathe when they look at their bank account? The abundant version of you doesn't check their balance anxiously. They don't hoard resources out of fear. They don't make choices from scarcity. They're relaxed, generous, trusting. So you start practicing being that person now, not when the money shows up, now. You check your balance without anxiety. You make generous choices within your current means. You trust that resources will flow as needed. This isn't about denying your current reality. It's about relating to it from a different frequency. And as you maintain that frequency consistently, reality reorganizes to match it. The dissolution of effort. When you're truly living as the frequency, manifestation stops feeling like work. There's no strain, no pushing, no urgency. You're not trying to convince the universe of anything. You're not managing your thoughts to avoid negative vibrations. You're not performing coherence to get a result. You're simply being who you are, a coherent expression of consciousness, naturally aligned with the field. From this place, inspired action arises effortlessly. You feel drawn to take certain steps, make certain calls, explore certain opportunities. Not because you're forcing yourself to do the work, but because the action feels like a natural extension of who you are. And synchronicities become so common, they're no longer surprising. Of course, the right person called at the right time. Of course, that opportunity appeared exactly when you needed it. Of course, the solution presented itself. That's just how life flows when you're in resonance with it. The paradox of detachment. Here's something that confuses a lot of people. Living as the frequency requires detachment from outcomes, but it doesn't mean you stop having desires. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you're not dependent on external circumstances to feel complete. You can want something deeply while simultaneously being at peace if it doesn't arrive. You can take action toward a goal while being okay if it unfolds differently than you planned. This is the ultimate paradox of manifestation. The less you need something to happen, the more easily it happens. The more complete you feel now, the more life brings you experiences that match that completeness. When you're living as the frequency, your desires become preferences rather than necessities. You're expressing, "I'd love to experience this," rather than, "I need this to be okay." And that shift in energy changes everything. Recognizing your natural state. Most people think they need to achieve coherence, like it's some special state they have to work hard to access. But coherence is actually your natural state. It's what you return to when you stop creating interference. Think about young children before they've been conditioned by fear and limitation. They're naturally coherent, present, curious, trusting, expressed. They haven't learned yet to doubt themselves or force outcomes. Living as the frequency is about returning to that natural state, not as a child, but as a conscious adult who's released the conditioning that created incoherence. You're not trying to become something you're not. You're remembering what you've always been beneath the layers of protection, performance, and pretense. The paradox of detachment. Here's something that confuses a lot of people. Living as the frequency requires detachment from outcomes, but it doesn't mean you stop having desires. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you're not dependent on external circumstances to feel complete. You can want something deeply while simultaneously being at peace if it doesn't arrive. You can take action toward a goal while being okay if it unfolds differently than you planned. This is the ultimate paradox of manifestation. The less you need something to happen, the more easily it happens. The more complete you feel now, the more life brings you experiences that match that completeness. When you're living as the frequency, your desires become preferences rather than necessities. You're expressing, "I'd love to experience this," rather than, "I need this to be okay." And that shift in energy changes everything. Recognizing your natural state. Most people think they need to achieve coherence, like it's some special state they have to work hard to access. But coherence is actually your natural state. It's what you return to when you stop creating interference. Think about young children before they've been conditioned by fear and limitation. They're naturally coherent, present, curious, trusting, expressed. They haven't learned yet to doubt themselves or force outcomes. Living as the frequency is about returning to that natural state, not as a child, but as a conscious adult who's released the conditioning that created incoherence. You're not trying to become something you're not. You're remembering what you've always been beneath the layers of protection, performance, and pretense. The practice of radical honesty. One of the most powerful aspects of living as the frequency is the practice of radical honesty with yourself. This means you stop pretending, stop performing, stop trying to maintain a spiritual image of always being positive and high vibe. When you're frustrated, you acknowledge it. When you're afraid, you feel it. When you're doubting, you admit it. But, and this is crucial, you don't identify with these states. You don't make them mean something about your worth or your ability to manifest. You simply say, "This is what's here right now. This is the weather passing through my system. It doesn't define me. It doesn't determine my future. It's just what is." This level of honesty creates more coherence than any amount of forced positivity ever could. Because you're finally in integrity. Your external expression matches your internal experience. And from that authentic place, you can choose. You can feel the fear and still take the action. You can notice the doubt and still maintain your frequency. You can be imperfectly human and still be a powerful creator. The community effect. When you're living as the frequency, you naturally begin to affect the people around you. Not through preaching or teaching, but simply through your presence. Your calm becomes contagious. Your trust invites others to trust. Your coherence creates a field that others can entrain to. You become what's called a coherent attractor, someone whose field is strong enough to influence the fields of those around them toward greater coherence. This is why transformation often ripples through communities. One person shifts, and their new frequency creates permission for others to shift too. You don't have to try to change anyone. Just by being coherently yourself, you create a template that others can follow if they choose. The eternal practice. Living as the frequency isn't a destination you reach and then you're done. It's an ongoing practice of returning again and again to your center. You'll still have moments of incoherence, days where you forget everything you know, situations that trigger old patterns. But instead of seeing these as failures, you see them as opportunities to deepen your practice. Each time you notice you've drifted and choose to return, you strengthen your capacity to be coherent. Over time, the returns become faster. The duration of coherence becomes longer. The depth of trust becomes stronger. Until one day you realize you're not practicing being coherent anymore. You're simply living from coherence as your natural way of being. And that's when the quantum talk that works becomes not something you do, but simply who you are. We've journeyed far together. From understanding the science of how your electromagnetic field broadcasts into the quantum realm, to recognizing the hidden resistance that scrambles your signal, to learning the practices that create coherence, to discovering what it means to live as the frequency itself. But all of this, every concept, every practice, every insight is meaningless unless you choose to embody it. So this final chapter isn't about giving you more information, it's about issuing an invitation, a choice point, a moment where you decide what kind of creator you want to be. Because here's the truth, you're already talking to the universe. You've been having this conversation your entire life. The question isn't whether to start communicating with the field. The question is, what signal do you want to broadcast? Do you want to keep broadcasting the signal of force, urgency, and desperation? The frequency that says, I don't have what I need and I'm terrified I never will. Or are you ready to shift into the signal of coherence, trust, and alignment? The frequency that says, I'm complete now and I'm open to receiving what matches this completeness. This isn't a one-time choice. It's a choice you make in every moment, every breath, every thought, every emotion. When you check your bank account, what frequency are you broadcasting? When you think about your desires, what signal are you sending? When you face a challenge, what energy are you embodying? These moment-to-moment choices accumulate into your dominant frequency, and your dominant frequency determines what the field reflects back to you. The practice of choosing. Here's what I want you to do right now as we complete this journey together. Place one hand on your heart, take a slow, deep breath, and as you exhale, feel yourself releasing the old signal, the force, the fear, the need to control. Take another breath, and as you exhale this time, consciously choose your new frequency. Not as a performance, not as something you have to maintain perfectly forever, just as a genuine choice in this moment. I choose coherence over chaos. I choose trust over control. I choose to be the frequency instead of chasing the outcome. Say it out loud if you can. Let your voice carry the vibration of your choice into the field, and then notice what happens in your body. Does something soften? Does your breath deepen? Does a quiet peace settle over you? That feeling, that's your signal changing in real time. That's the quantum talk that works. The community commitment now. I want to invite you to do something that will amplify this shift exponentially. Something that will help you maintain your frequency when doubt creeps in and old patterns resurface. In the comments below, write these 3 words. I am broadcasting. Not, I will try to broadcast. Not, I hope I'm broadcasting, but I am broadcasting. Present tense, declarative, clear. These 3 words are more than a comment. They're a commitment to yourself and to this community. They're an acknowledgement that you're no longer a passive recipient of whatever reality delivers. You're an active participant in creating your experience through the signal you emit. And here's the powerful part. When you make this declaration publicly, when you see others making it too, you create a field of coherence that's stronger than what any individual could maintain alone. You become part of a community of conscious creators who understand that the quantum talk that works isn't about getting the universe to give you what you want. It's about becoming so coherent in your signal that reality has no choice but to reflect it. The subscription as sacred yes. If what we've explored together resonates with you, If you feel called to deepen this practice, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. But I want to be clear about what you're subscribing to. This isn't just another YouTube channel with manifestation tips and tricks. This isn't a place where I'm going to promise you instant results or magical solutions. This is a space dedicated to the real work of quantum creation, to understanding the science of consciousness, to developing practices that create lasting coherence, to supporting each other through the challenges and celebrating the breakthroughs. Every video I create is designed to help you refine your signal, release your resistance, and strengthen your capacity to live as the frequency you want to experience. Some videos will challenge you. Some will comfort you. Some will show you parts of yourself you've been avoiding. But all of them will serve your evolution as a conscious creator. When you subscribe, you're not just clicking a button. You're making a sacred yes to your own transformation. You're committing to learning the language the quantum field actually speaks. You're choosing to be part of a community that values depth, authenticity, and sustained practice over quick fixes and surface-level solutions. The 7-day Coherence Challenge. Before we part ways, I want to offer you one final invitation, a practical way to integrate everything we've covered. For the next 7 days, commit to this simple practice. Each morning, spend just 10 minutes in heart coherence. Use the practice I outlined in Chapter 5. Breathe through your heart, activate authentic appreciation, connect with your desire without desperation, and release the outcome. Then, 3 times throughout your day, pause for 60 seconds. Check your signal. Are you in coherence or incoherence? If you've drifted into force or fear, take 3 conscious breaths and return to center. That's it. No elaborate rituals, no hours of practice, just consistent, gentle returns to coherence multiple times a day for 7 days. I promise you, if you do this sincerely, you will feel different by day 7. Not because 7 is a magic number, but because you'll have given your nervous system enough repetitions to start recognizing coherence as your new baseline. You might sleep better, think clearer, feel calmer, notice synchronicities, experience insights, see shifts in your relationships or circumstances, or the changes might be so subtle you barely notice them until you look back and realize how different you feel compared to a week ago. Either way, you're rewiring your relationship with reality itself. And that's worth 7 days of gentle, consistent practice. The final truth. As we close this journey, I want to leave you with one final truth. The quantum field is always listening, always responding, always reflecting your signal back to you with perfect precision. It has never stopped listening. It has never withheld from you. It has never punished you or deemed you unworthy. Every experience you've ever had has been a perfect response to the signal you were broadcasting, consciously or unconsciously. And that means you have more power than you've ever imagined. Because the moment you change your signal, the field begins responding to the new frequency. You don't have to wait for perfect conditions. You don't have to heal every wound or resolve every limiting belief. You don't have to become someone completely different. You just have to choose coherence right now, in this moment, with whatever you have, wherever you are, exactly as you are. That choice, that simple, profound choice to shift your frequency, is the quantum talk that works. It's not about what you say, it's about what you become. And you can become it right now. So take a breath, feel your heart beating, notice the life force moving through you, and remember, you are not separate from the field. You are an expression of it. A conscious, creative extension of the intelligence that organizes galaxies and grows forests from single seeds. You have always had the power to create your reality. You've just been using a language the field couldn't clearly hear, the language of force and fear. But now you know a different language, the language of coherence, of trust, of embodied frequency. Speak that language, live that language, be that language, and watch as reality reorganizes itself around your clear, consistent signal. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your willingness to explore these ideas with an open mind and heart. Thank you for being brave enough to consider that there might be a different way, a way that doesn't require struggle or force or endless striving. I'll be here, creating more content to support your journey, exploring the intersection of quantum physics and consciousness, offering practices that deepen your coherence, reminding you of the truth you sometimes forget. Subscribe if you're called to continue this exploration together. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next transmission. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And most importantly, practice, not perfectly, not constantly, but consistently. Choose coherence again and again. Return to your center whenever you drift. Trust the process even when you can't see results yet, because the quantum field is listening right now, in this exact moment. What signal will you broadcast?